Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Dying Time is here. That's right, we're talking Verotika, which is a movie on Patreon. It's a Patreon exclusive, everyone, and that means that we forgo some of the formalities. You know what the deal. We talk about movie characters. And so what better way to do that than to talk about the screen debut of one Glenn Danzig, a person who is best known for being nominated to play Wolverine by Wizard Magazine in the 1990s. And
mainly because he is a short gentleman. He's a diminutive,
mutton chopped, stacked dude.
Neck is wider than his head
for the most part. And then the one thing that I always liked about Glenn Danzig is he would wear this sort of demonic bull like belt buckle that it felt like there's no way you can sit down wearing something like that because it was always poking into his tummy. And I thought that looks uncomfortable.
And one of my favorite episodes of Aqua Teen Hunger Force complains that he never wears a shirt.
He does not. He's allergic to the shirts. Ever since the Misfits, he's not a big fan of them. And lucky for him, he doesn't need to wear them. And also, he doesn't require them for a lot of the actors in this motion picture.
I feel like I have to steal We Hate Movies bit by saying directed by Glenn Danzig.
Well, before we go any further, it seems odd that we've already started talking about it. But of course, there's only one person that I trust. That if I have to find some Virgins, she's going to go out and get some for me. The one, the only Gina Radcliffe. How are you doing today, Gina?
Stunned. I'm stunned. I watched this about 24 hours ago, and I'm still just kind of shaking my head like there's cobwebs in them. I just have to say that every once in a while you'll post something on Twitter that the listeners will interpret as meaning we're about to end the show. Mm-hmm. And the concern about that is very touching. Wait. It says, "What do you mean? What do you mean? We're coming to the end?" And I appreciate that, but yeah. I really do think that after this, it's time to close up shop because
where could we go?
We have watched some unbelievable dog shit for this podcast, but this is just there can't be any topping this.
Before we go any further, Gina, I don't want to alarm you, but in a rarity for a Patreon episode, we're not alone. That's right, we have a special guest. He is a returning champion here to Kill by Kill. Of course, you know him from Predictocast, and of course, he creates all of our artwork. And he's also a person who has studied more banned film than anyone probably should. The one, the only Josh Hollis. How are you doing today, Josh?
I'm doing well. I have to say this is setting me up. This is giving me some credit, letting your listeners know that I mean business. I saw Verotika before you asked me to be on the show.
Why?
Well, it was one of those things that like there was a bunch of articles about it last year when it had a premiere. And everybody was talking about it, and they were saying that it's like this unintentional horror comedy, and it's like The Room level. It's not, and that everybody needs to see it. And then it popped up on demand like a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, all right, well, I gotta rent this and see what this is all about because I'm always looking for like the next big sort of fun cult thing, and there are elements of this that I like and that I think are fun.
Yeah.
It's such a slog.
It really is.
It's truly the most, and I've seen most of Neil Breen's movies. I think this actually, in sheer incompetence, just tops that. And I say that because Neil Breen gives no evidence of actually having seen a movie, whereas like Glenn Danzig rattled off a bunch of movies that supposedly influenced this movie, and I'm like, really? That this is your homage to the films of Mario Bava. point out to me what's supposed to be a Bava-esque scene here.
Yeah, just evoking Mario Bava should cause Mr. Bava to start spinning in his grave so much that he actually can tunnel through the earth like Bugs Bunny.
The one thing I will give it is that, like, I do think there are moments that look good. Like, some of the lighting and some of the shot composition is interesting and kind of fun. He's going for very, like, heavy colored lights and shadows and maybe that's what he's leaning towards when he's thinking about sort of Italian, horror cinema of like the 60s and 70s. And there are moments that I'm like, okay, I kind of like that shot, or I kind of see what he's going for. And then it's just completely disrupted because it cuts to like a weird shaky cam shot that doesn't seem like it makes any sense, or that someone grabbed it accidentally and he threw it in.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's again to keep comparing him to Neil Breen, even though he clearly shot on video, he just went with whatever take he yeah, that's good. We only have a limited time to use this camera, so we're not doing retakes. And my favorite example of this is in the third segment, which is a rehash of the Countess Bathory legend, the vampire-esque woman who bathes in the blood of virgins. And there's a scene in which she rips out a woman's heart. Now, there's a couple of issues with this scene. One is that Glenn Danzig does not know where the human heart is located.
No.
He is under the impression that
it is your tummy is.
That is below the rib cage.
Or maybe she was reaching around, like when you lose your keys in the seat of your car and you have to go kind of reach up and under.
And he's also under the impression that the human heart is attached to the body by very long intestine-like organs. Also incorrect.
He seems to think of it as like a car battery, like it's always hooked up.
But pushing things a little further is that a human being can remain alive when someone pulls out their heart and takes a bite out of it. Oh, and I forgot to mention that the heart is about the size of a Christmas turkey.
For a young girl, she does seem to have a very enlarged heart.
Yeah, she wasn't living much longer with that heart in her chest.
Lots of cured meats that she's consuming.
Yes, but to take it one step further, after she has presumably died, this Count, I forget, Dejuna, he just makes up these really bizarre, like, quote unquote European sounding names for his characters. I couldn't figure out how to pronounce
it, and I ended up writing Drunkula the entire
But so she's like, take her away. And one of her guards picks up the actress, who clearly slings her arm around his shoulders because she's afraid he's going to drop her. And no one went back and said, maybe we should reshoot that because she's supposed to be dead. No, that's fine. It's fine. No one's going to notice.
I honestly think if there's one element that clearly defines what a Glenn Danzig movie is dead bodies that are still breathing. There's not a single dead person in this entire motion picture who can hold their breath. Frankly, I don't know that they've been told. I don't think they ever had a camera test or anything like that, or multiple takes. They just said, what are we going to do? He's like, you're going to talk over this dead body. Okay. And they do. And he's like, great. Moving on. No one ever said cut. Like, he'd never heard of that before. He just, scenes play out until they run out of battery. I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of what it looks like. It just kind of fades out, like they just got to the end of their tape.
I think he's following in the cinematic footsteps of his forebears, like Clint Eastwood. One take and we're done.
I guess the only thing that would really differentiate those two directors, and they both have earned that title, director, is that Glenn doesn't get movement. He's so fascinated by what he sees that he can't bear to dispense with any of it. All of it must be seen, even if that sequence was 3 seconds or 5 fucking minutes of Drunkula just having a bath.
And then preening in front of a mirror.
Oh my god.
And then also the mystery girl dancing. We get to see 2 strip sequences in that second segment, and it's so like, I get it, you know, like he's the whole Verotika thing is violence and erotica and very clever. But like
you know what? I'm going to call bullshit on
and it's and the stripping is not even good. It's just lazy. She's just flailing her arms around.
Yeah, she seems to be under the belief that stripping requires a lot of cape work. And I can't say that I'm an expert, but I will say I've never seen lazier stripping ever portrayed on film for this long. It's almost as if it's Baseball, the Ken Burns documentary, for lazy stripping.
Well, she comes out and she's already topless, right? So she comes out and they're like, so the guys are there not to see her strip. They're there to see the cape work.
Well, all right, let's go through these things one at a time. Do we want to just talk about the second one since we're talking about it?
It doesn't matter. Whatever you want to do. I mean, they all kind of blend together. I think there are nuggets of story, at least in the first 2, that could be something. The third one is just a complete mess, and it's totally pointless. The Drunkula, like, that whole thing is just completely pointless and not really necessary. The first 2 at least have nuggets of things that could be good.
Yeah. So let's just, I'll be honest with you, of them all, I think change of face.
That's a phrase that people use.
Yeah, no, that's something that human beings would recognize as communication. That's probably my favorite because it's so incomprehensible, but it also has 2 of the only performances in the entire thing, and that is mystery girl who cuts people's faces off for funsies, and the cop chasing, and I put chasing in dick fingers because he's so growly. It's like he's having a growl off with everyone he's incomprehensibly in a scene with.
You didn't like the albino spider or the jet?
I can't say that's a performance necessarily. It's more like he's Pepe Le Pew.
Like did we mention that Glenn also wrote the stories for these anthologies?
Oh yeah, it's based on a comic book, right?
Oh yeah, it's gone through many a medium. That's how you can really refine what a story is. You've tried it out several times, and now you know, like, oh, okay, this is a story I need to tell that people need to see in motion.
Because I feel like a lot of his fetishes are coming through loud and clear in this.
Oh, for sure.
You've got, Quentin Tarantino's got feet.
True.
Glenn Danzig has incredibly bad plastic surgery. And I mean, poor
questionable accents.
Poor DeJette. This girl has had so much work done on her lips. There is at no point that she is ever able to close her mouth.
Yeah.
And, it's distracting.
Well,
yeah, I could see where that would come in handy for certain lines of business.
Yeah, she's a porn star. I think the sort of horror host that we get, the lady who kills the woman at the beginning by pokes out her eyeballs or whatever, I think that is also a porn actor.
Well, I think you're talking about Morella of the Connecticut Morellas.
Yeah. The second girl whose face gets cut off is Courtney Stodden.
Is that Courtney? Because I couldn't. The only reason I could even place Courtney Stodden's name again was that Nathan Rabin had done that little retrospective of her presumptive rap career.
She is billed about 14th in the cast and has about 45 seconds of screen time.
I did not recognize that was her. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, and she is the one who after having her face cut off, is staring at her hands and says, "My face." Very calm, very chill about the whole thing.
It's like she lost her face and is wondering, did I leave my face in the refrigerator? Maybe I hung it on the hook by the front door.
But yeah,
I'm
like,
not sure which.
So bad plastic surgery, people licking people's arms, which happens a lot.
He seems to
And
be,
I'm like, I'm not judging anyone, but that's kind of weird. You know,
there's
it's
a
kinda
blanket
weird.
I don't want to yuck your yum going on here. Okay, we're not here to necessarily kink shame, because obviously kink seems to be something he believes he's portraying on screen. But I don't know about you guys. When you chain a virgin up to your bath and bleed her out, generally the chain goes around the wrist to secure them in place. You don't force that person to hold on to two chains.
Well, I
with
mean, come
your
on.
fingers.
A lot of that is, Spencer Gift's Halloween decoration level set design.
This is all from his house.
Yeah, exactly.
He just had it on hand. I mean, it's not from his really gross house, because you were talking about Glenn Danzig, like where you sort of how you might know him. And honestly, I mean, yeah, I knew him from the Misfits and stuff, but like the thing I think of whenever Glenn Danzig comes up in at all is the article from a couple of years ago about his shitty house in Los Feliz that was on the market for like $1 million, and they posted a bunch of photos because it was basically on offer as is. And it's just a bunch of junk. You just have to look it up. You just have to look up Glenn Danzig's gross house. He's got like a Tasmanian devil and Martian the Manhunter statue in there. He's got weird old like toys on shelves. The floors are filthy and covered in grime. There's toys everywhere. There's just like fake stone work put up on the walls. He's got like old like Spencer's Gift skeletons and skulls sitting around, Frankenberry cereal, like a dirty mattress that's just on the floor with no frame or anything. Like, it's disgusting, and that is the thing that always pops into my head when I think of Glenn Danzig.
Oh my god.
Yes, his fantasies are like super out there, and the normies won't be able to take this tiresome story about a vampire, and it's just like, yeah, Glenn, wow, a person that drinks blood. I've never seen it. That's you're absolutely right. That's really, really crazy, and I don't know how to process that with my normie brain.
He had a mattress on the fucking floor.
I think we broke Patrick.
I mean, maybe I'm a bit of a normie, but I don't know and again, no kink shaming or anything like that. I don't know the fetish of woman has eyeballs where her nipples should be.
that lactate tears that fall on a spider that turns into Goro from Mortal Kombat.
But like, So that was one of the things I was thinking of. It's like, okay, there's some weird thing going on. This woman has eyeballs in her breasts for some reason. That's very strange. It's a very provocative image. If it meant something, if he tried to tie it in some way, I'd be like, okay, that wasn't successful, but at least he's doing something. But they're just there for like shock value. And
then it turns into some vague like Nightmare on Elm Street ripoff where this monster is doing her bidding and she doesn't realize it, and none of it makes any sense because it's like, oh, I'm just doing the things you daydream of doing, so I'm gonna go kill this anonymous hooker.
Yeah, but then why not kill the guys who are trying to assault her in the movie theater?
Oh, no. They're just helpful citizens. The people we really need to take out of this world are the next door neighbor who says, oh, you're crying? That's too bad. Is there anything I can do for you? That person needs to die.
My favorite part, and I texted Patrick about this. I said, I'm dying. I think I broke something laughing at this. Was so this woman with eyes for nipples, which again ends up being completely irrelevant to the plot at hand. It's just something that's there and weird. And so she killed herself to keep this Spider-Man creature in the real world and
Please, Francois P. Spider-Man. Call him by his proper name.
The police shoot him. They're completely, unruffled by this 8-armed creature. Just like, not even so much as saying, well, there's something you don't see every day. Nope, they're just like, he has 8 arms.
The Strangler or whatever. What was his name? Neck Breaker.
Neck Breaker. So they're looking down and it's like, Monsieur, her breasts are eyes. So I was like, we. And that's the end of the segment. But wait, my favorite part is Morella, our hostess, just looks at the camera and she goes, well, there you go. And I screamed. I was like, I just texted Patrick, well, there you go.
There you go.
She needs to be like Crypt Keeper like or something. She needs to like set up these stories in a fun way or wrap them up in a fun way. And well, there you go is not it.
She's like, oh, that's a thing that happened. Anyways.
Anywho.
I mean,
can you even believe it? Well,
I mean, it's one of them's.
And again, if she had said, well, there's something you don't see every day, I mean, that would have been very Crypt Keeper-esque, but no, well, there you go.
This whole, I mean, the fact that it was portraying something that was supposedly happening, one would believe based on the accents in France.
Le France.
Le France. And to drink, Peru. So, and then at one point, our main character walks to a movie theater that is the Los Angeles Theater. With even with a French rockabilly song playing in the background, it's like, how fucking incompetent do you have to be? There are moments in this movie where he frames shots so low that you're looking at unfinished, molding on the back corner of the strip club. And you're like, why am I looking at this? What is this adding?
Oh, there are so many scenes in the third one where like just characters' heads they're just cut off. They're just only filmed like the neck down. and it's astonishing.
Yeah. Well, what was he hiding back there?
Well, the strip club in the second segment feels like it's in like somebody's back room of their house.
Oh yeah, and you can see like a bank of ATM machines in the background. Very, very classy.
Only the finest.
They've like like the curtain is not a curtain; it's just like a bunch of bed sheets that are all stapled to the wall.
The Dejet's next door neighbor opens up a refrigerator and looks inside, and I think that's another fetish that we're not examining of Glenn Danzig, and that is he really likes to watch ladies bend over and see what's in a refrigerator.
While wearing the worst fucking wigs I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm something of a wig connoisseur, and these are every single actress in this movie. Every single one of them is wearing a wig, and I don't know if it's because he's really into wigs, or they're really into not being recognized as being in this movie. I think it might be a little bit of both.
Yeah, why choose? She opens up the refrigerator, looks inside, and says, milk or beer? Those are your choices? Those serve two very different purposes.
No. You're incorrect. It's, milk or beer?
I think this is showing Danzig's cinematic knowledge. He's calling back to Pumping Iron, where Arnold Schwarzenegger says, milk is for babies, beer is for men.
Oh my God. And so this albino Spider-Man who has, and here's the other Glenn Danzig, thing that he is really into, and that is people who don't know what to do with their arms. Now here you have a character who's got 6 arms and he doesn't know what to do with any of them. He just, sometimes he's kind of like holding them out. Sometimes like motioning up and down. Sometimes like, ooh, my elbows are hitting these and they told me not to. And sometimes the angle of the camera is so low you can see the split in his seat.
Yeah.
I like, my favorite shot is after he is killed at the end and he's laying there, you can clearly see he's wearing tights.
At one point, he decides to go out and kill a prostitute. And he presents this as, there are two things I want to do. The first thing is fuck you in the ass. And she's like, oh, smoke. Because there's not a sentence she says without smoking in between syllables.
Because French. Come on.
Because French. She says, oh, ass fucking is my specialty.
Well, you know.
What she doesn't say
one.
is that she's also proficient in Excel and PowerPoint. But of course, this is a different job. You know, you go for the job you want. And it turns out that he just strangles her and breaks her neck.
No, he doesn't even strangle people. He shakes them until their neck breaks, which I don't... I mean, I guess that's possible for, like, a small child for that to happen. I don't think that would happen with a grown adult.
Yeah, this spider was a big fan of shaken baby syndrome.
He's then referred to by Channel 52 News as Le Neckbreaker.
Neckbreaker.
We also get a fashion shoot, which is one for the record books. There's just a line of people told act, I don't know, sexy. And you're watching 4 to 5 people fail at it.
What's my motivation here? I don't know. You're sexy.
You're sexy.
You got a wig on and some fetish gear. Just do it.
You got tape over your boobs, like sexy. You know what I mean?
It's just some of his, like, you know, clear fetishes are just so mundane. And oh, you like women wearing vinyl and wearing, you know, electrical tape over their nipples. Wow. That's way fucking out there, man. And I think that's the part that's so hilarious is he put this out there fully expecting to blow people's minds and how crazy this was, and oh my god, the lady vampire eats someone's heart, and it's like, Glenn, aren't you some kind of horror expert? Do you know how many movies are out there where someone eats another character's heart? I mean, I don't mean to sound all like super jaded or anything. There are plenty of horror movies that still get to me. You know, your Hereditaries, your Midsommers, your movies like that. But you know, I have completely burned out on you know, beautiful young women, you know, getting sliced and diced so someone can drink their blood because that's how they're kept alive. And it's like, is that really the most shocking thing you can come up with?
Yes.
That
is the most shocking thing he can come up with.
Vampires, Glenn. Vampires. It is the most, you know, probably the most well-worn horror movie trope you could possibly come up with.
At one point during this fashion shoot, they start making fun of Dejette because, I don't know, they all know she has eyeballs for boobs.
She's sad. They're making fun of her because she's sad.
And one of the quote unquote sexy ladies says she is such a psycho bitch, pronouncing the P in psycho.
Well, French. Don't you know that the P's are all pronounced in French? You know, they have le pneumonia.
Pneumonia. At one point, she goes to the Los Angeles movie theater to watch porn.
Of course, because again, wow, that's really out there, Glenn.
Well, yeah, this is harkening back to a time long gone since the porno theaters were all eradicated.
According to Glenn, this is happening all the time. And Dejette sits down, views what's in front of her, and goes, "Oh, they are just making sex." Like, what, in a factory?
Well, my favorite part is the two guys, and the one guy's like, "Hey, this is when they do it now," or something.
Like, whoa, spoilers, buddy.
You know that they still have the what used to be called the gay seat between them, the empty
seat. Yeah, the gay donut. They got to keep that.
Oh my god. Why does everyone in this section of the movie think being French is just clenching your teeth? Like the waiter in the restaurant is like, oh, very
that
careful.
guy. with the crazy neck tattoos.
poking out from his shirt. Very subtle.
But like, yeah, the whole theater scene, like I figured this would be where, okay, the weird spider creature has killed someone she knows and has killed other people, and now somehow she's going to, it's going to come to her aid when she needs it most. Like she's being like accosted by these guys. They're like, they see that she's fallen asleep, so they immediately just take it upon themselves to try to start pawing her, and then she wakes up and is able to escape. But it was like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if then this weird spider guy showed up and murdered these guys and was sort of like this weird avenger, and she starts using it to her advantage to take out like bad people, but also people who are making fun of her, like the models or something. Like you could spin it into being a story of this person who just wants to get on top and will do whatever it takes, including using her weird Spider-Man to kill her competition. Like, okay, there's a story. Do that. But no, we're not interested in that.
No. In fact, there's after she wakes up, she's like, "Oh, get off of me," and walks out. One of the guys is like, "Hey, come back here." Why? Why would you come back there? You were molesting her as she slept.
Yeah, I mean, these are upstanding citizens, obviously, but it's just like there are, like that's an element where I was like, oh, there could be something here. It could be interesting. You could like, because that, I mean, I don't know if I would ever want to watch it, but that is enough to support an 80-minute horror movie of a person like finding out she has this weird connection to like some sort of creature that comes to life when she sleeps and can commit crimes, and she learns how to control it and uses it to get ahead, and then bonds with it, and then it gets killed and she's sad about it. Like, yeah, that's not an original thing, but it's interesting. Maybe it could be done well. And they're just not interested at all because she kills herself and that defeats the spider, kind of.
Oh yeah. That's really helpful. Here's the thing, Josh, is what you're doing sounds to me like it's some sort of PC Hollywood bullshit that we've all seen a million times before. You know what you've never seen? Cops break into a room, kill a 6-armed Spider-Man, and just look over his body and go, yes, it's strange. Very strange.
I also like how they immediately determine, oh, this must be the neck breaker.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's got to be, right? I mean, they follow all the evidence.
Yeah, I mean, it is good that they know. It's like, did the neck breaker leave a calling card of some kind when he was killing all these various sex workers? Or
no, we leave calling cards for our next segment.
Oh, that's right.
Where an actual fucking calling card is left. My favorite part of the police thing is them breaking in. No one has any handcuffs, and you're gonna need at least 3 pairs because he's got 6 fucking arms. But also, the guy with the battering ram looks like Glenn told him, I got to take that door back to Home Depot tomorrow. So don't really damage it. And he's like, okay. And he kind of lightly taps it a couple times. And then he looks off camera like Glenn's going, oh, fuck it. Just hit it. And then he finally starts swinging.
There are many moments in which you can tell these people are waiting to be, and again, this is also something that's very common in Neil Breen movies, where the actors say their lines and then are waiting to be told what to do next.
Yes.
Which is remarkable. Like the couple times with this third segment, which again is. You would expect these things to get better as they go along. No, they actually decline in quality, and it's amazing because this third one doesn't even have an ending. There's no resolution, nothing. She just kills a bunch of young women in a variety of meant to be shocking ways. But there's like a point where she is preening in front of a mirror. and she stops like every maybe 15, 20 seconds, and she's like, oh, I should keep going? Okay, all right.
Oh my God, that mirror scene, I totally forgot about that. It goes on forever.
Yeah, it's over a full minute of her just posing and smiling at herself, and like, oh.
And I'm sure he shot probably 5 or 7 minutes of it, and he was like, oh, this is enough, but I'm going to keep the rest for myself.
Yeah, and she like I said, she stops every few seconds and like, oh, I should keep going? Okay.
Right. Yeah, I don't think anyone ever heard the word cut.
It's like I just picture like Glenn on the other side of the camera, like just not even looking. He's like eating a sandwich, like keep going. It's just like.
Now, Glenn, this is for a movie, right? Yeah, it's for a movie. It's called Verotika. Like, we're making a movie out of this. Hey, can we actually make a movie out of this? Can anyone sue me if I don't make a movie out of this? Because really, this is just a lot of masturbation fodder. Because
it is. Yeah,
I don't know what the internet is.
It absolutely is, and like my favorite part of the second one, which is the woman who just goes around just slicing women's faces off. She wears their faces.
Yes.
And at one point she shows her actual face, and you expect her to have this horrifying, like Jason in Friday the 13th, the final chapter, just this gnarled, deformed face. And it looks like she burned herself with a decorative waffle iron. She's got like, a not great, but not, absolutely hideous scar on like one side of her face. And so apparently
she had a fight with a Wolverine when she was about 9 years old.
We don't know. He doesn't bother explaining how she came to have this facial injury, or at what point it drove her to insanity. And she has these women's faces like nailed to her dressing room wall. And they're all like these little they're like these little handkerchief sized shreds of face that it's just the same face that they just somebody some poor some poor asshole with marginal sculpture skills threw together for him.
Just ran off 9 of them while they had the chains.
See, I think that that's the key though, is you said that he never explains that stuff about like how she got the scars or why she's stealing people's faces. And I think that the solution is cut that third story because it's pointless. Totally not necessary. Pull a 2 Evil Eyes thing where you get your Argento and Romero together making 2 like movies. You can do an anthology with only 2 stories, and you can flesh them out and connect them in some interesting way. And like I would be fine with that because the first 2 have the most potential. The third one is just a total waste of time.
No, the third one reminds me a lot of Mardi Gras Massacre, which was a video nasty that has the same death scene 5 times. And it's the same thing. It's like, oh, I'm gonna get this lady's blood, and she does. And then you think in between what's gonna happen, she just wanders down the hallway and she's like, hey, get me another one of them Virgins. Let's do that again.
I think the whole point of the third one was what's the here she's killing somebody, now we're gonna have her kill somebody in an even crazier way. Like here first she bled her out, and then she cuts her throat and sprays so much blood it's like that scene in Dracula Dead and Loving It. Where it looks like iced tea in some shots, which is
totally
weird.
Right. That is exactly what that is.
It's just it's a kind of Lipton sun tea fountain spraying into this woman's face, and then of course there's the big centerpiece scene that you knew he was really proud of, with this heart cutting out scene, and then she cuts off a woman's head, and this fake head. Oh my god. This fake head, which for some reason has one of her eyeballs hanging out, which I don't know if that was supposed to be on purpose or the head just fell and like the eyeball kind of popped out a little bit, and he's like, "Fuck it, let's leave it."
You know what? It works. Yeah. Honestly, that third one, it really feels like someone at some point gave Glenn Danzig a gift certificate for horse rentals, and he's like, "I gotta use this for something," and then he's like, "Give me 3 horses." And I'm going to film the fuck out of these horses just walking down a trail for 5 minutes. And you get to see, you will, like Superman, you will believe a horse can walk. It's just endless. It serves 0 point.
Well, he had to show off that. He had to show off that cool Spirit Halloween hot tub that he got.
You could have shoved that in somewhere else. But let's get back to change effect, because third one's a waste of goddamn time.
We've talked about it more than the other parts, though.
More than it ever deserves. We gotta give change of face its due. First off, it is insane to me that people can ask a question as common and as banal as "who's there?" and still have it be unconvincing on camera.
No. My favorite dialogue exchange is when this sergeant is introduced, and so we see this corpse, and the face cutting effect is kind of okay. It's not bad. I mean, not compared to like the gelatin eyeballs at the beginning of the movie, or the turkey sized human heart. But so you've got this police sergeant, who is the only recognizable name in the cast. I think he's best known for playing a villain in a Karate Kid movie some years ago. So he says to the patrolman, "What do we got here?" It's grisly, Chief. How grisly? Pretty grisly. And I was just like, I don't know what to think of this exchange of dialogue. Is this supposed to be funny, or is this how he thinks actual cops talk?
That lead cop, who apparently is playing the lead in Jim Henson's Michael Rooker Babies, is so so committed to what he's doing. It's fascinating to watch everyone else just not give a fuck, because the person next to him is a coroner who at one point just is eating the sandwich, and he looks at him.
Of course he is. Of course he fucking is.
And then the guy puts the sandwich on the ground.
Yeah, he does.
I got to clean up this body now. You don't put... I mean, it's not weird that he's a coroner eating a sandwich. A thing we've seen a million times. We've never seen a coroner go, "Well, what do I do with the sandwich now? I'll just put it on the ground." Ground.
And I love it because the cop's like, "Where's her face?" And the coroner's like, we don't know where it is." And the cop's like, "Well, there's your motive." It's like, that's not a motive. That's not how motives work, Glenn Danzig.
It's the most valuable commodity in town, your face. In fact, the face grabber lady, the phantom of the strip club, at one point tells somebody, "Hey, give me your face." That's her Freddy Krueger, is, "Hey, give me your face." And she's like, "My face?" Yes, motherfucker, give me your face. It feels like every actor in this segment is in witness protection.
So how do you think she got her job at the strip club? Like, do you think she walked in with like the sagging like dead person face, like just kind of hanging down from her eyes?
Listen, I love everything I'm seeing from the neck down.
Here, let me flail for you a little bit. Well, you're hired.
I got some skull pasties.
Okay, I'm liking this. I like your boots. I like your vibe. But if you could come in here kind of looking like Mortal Kombat, I'd be more into it.
Come in here like you're practicing proper mask technique out in public right now, and we'll hire you.
Oh my God. All the stripping scenes, as repetitive and dumb and lazy as they are, it's gold when you just look outside of what he wants you to look at. There's a guy sitting at the rail who has a fuck belt buckle.
I love. Is it a belt buckle? I thought it was a hat. I thought he was like
it's on a hat, but that is a belt buckle that he has placed on his cowboy hat that just says fuck.
We're not pointing out that there's only maybe about 5 people in this strip club.
Oh yeah, there's no way this place should still be open.
And
don't have enough customers.
Most of these men look like they could not be more bored.
No, they have more fun waving their own faces with money than they do giving money to strippers.
And it's just this like soul deadening sequence of like women kind of lazily twerking, and
well, they're the audience of the movie. It's Danzig wanting to shock people with all of this, and the guys in the strip club are the people in the audience going, yeah, we've seen all of this before. This is nothing to us.
It's like, oh my God, Glenn, please, no more women shaking their butts at the camera. I can't take it anymore. My delicate sensibilities.
Yeah, I get it. Women have butts. And he's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Have you seen this butt? I mean,
wait.
Butt, but...
What if we have this woman spread her legs a little bit? No, Glenn, no, please, no.
Well,
my virgin eyeballs.
They're there on the wrong night because DeJet like strips on the weekends, and that's a far more interesting and far more robust crowd. Because, like, I mean, imagine that. Imagine if he just switched the leads for some reason. Like, oh, here's a stripper who's like cutting people's faces off for some reason, but also she has eyeballs in her boobs. That's an interesting stripper. Like, and then it explains why she can never go fully topless, and there's like some weird mystery there.
But then you would never get that scene in the first one where her would-be boyfriend looks at her, now seeing that she has eyeballs for boobs, and says, "Your teats are looking at me." There's like 5 E's in that.
I feel like you could probably get, reconstructive surgery for that if you have eyeballs in where your nipples should be.
Also, I'm very upset that no one at any point in time made the joke, "Hey, my eyes are down here."
Well, there you go. Oh, man.
See, you have to have a sense of humor for someone to say that, and
very true.
Appearance on Aqua Teen Hunger Force aside, Glenn Danzig seems to exhibit no evidence of having a sense of humor, which is so important when you are directing horror. You have to, even if your movie is not funny, you have to have a certain sense of the absurd and of things that might be, just oddly, amusing to an audience. And for someone who has made his fortune, on having, his band represented by a big scary skull image and sing songs about the devil, and he has no sense of humor. And this movie has no sense of humor, which is a shame because some of these lines are really fucking funny. Like the it's grisly. How grisly? Pretty grisly.
Well, I will say that there's only one plot keyword on IMDb, and it's unintentionally funny.
That's really that sums it up. I don't think. What do you guys think of the notion that this will be another one to be on the midnight movie circuit? I don't see that really happening.
I mean, I'm sure I believe that it would be more fun with a crowd.
Yeah,
that I wholeheartedly believe.
I watched it with my roommates, and they were not that into it. I wasn't really into it, but at least I was like engaged because I was sort of talking back to it because I was like, what is going on? But I think maybe with a crowd, yes, because I read some reviews when it premiered at various places talking about how the audience was laughing and things like that, and I can see that happening. But I also feel like it's just so boring. Like, there's not enough weird stuff happening frequently enough for, like, if the whole movie had the weirdness of the first installment or the weird bad acting of the second one, but like more often throughout, then maybe I could see it being something that could sustain. But I just feel like when you get to that third story, as we've already said, it's such a slog. And there's nothing there that like really works or can hang on to you enough like you get with The Room, even though it's kind of played to death at this point. But that movie at least sustains its weirdness from scene to scene.
Yeah, I mean, I think of it as a lot more like the Neil Breen thing.
Oh, for sure.
Because what really makes that third Breen movie sing is that from scene to scene to scene, he has these huge aspirations, these amazing delusions of what he is and how he can be on screen and the things he can portray. And he's simply unable to achieve them because He doesn't have time, money, resources, but he is trying. He is trying. I don't feel like Glenn is trying at all. And that's what sucks the energy out.
I think he thinks that this is his Hellraiser. Yeah, that he mixes. No, because I mean, when you think erotic horror,
yeah, for sure,
you think Hellraiser, and for reasons that would take about 3 hours to get into, that really works. It works in a way that leaves the audience kind of confused and frightened, and I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about this movie except kind of freaked out about it. Whereas here, it's like it's not sexy, it's not scary. No. So it fails on the multiple levels that he's trying to go for. And the reason why I think it wouldn't quite work as a midnight movie is that the whole, when you turn things into drinking games and you get the crowd reacting, it's just so many just examples of his incompetence. Like, if you turned, every time, the camera just does a weird fade out into a drinking game, you'd be on the floor in about 45 minutes. It's just, there's just so much, it's, everything, there's something wrong with every aspect of this movie. There's something wrong with the technical aspects of it. There's something wrong with the script writing, with the acting, with the directing. It's like too much and not enough at the same time.
It's just not weird enough.
I think too, the reason that it, for me at least, it doesn't totally, it wouldn't totally work is that there isn't, because it's an anthology, there's not like that central figure to rally around. Like obviously in The Room, you've got Tommy Wiseau. That's his vision. It's coming from him. He's on screen doing it. Everyone sounds like they are talking like him. Because it's his script. Neil Breen's the same way. You've got this singular sort of thing, even in things where the director is not on screen, like something like Birdemic or whatever. You have these two doofy characters who are, falling in love, but also dealing with the dumb birds and stuff. And I think this, because it's an anthology, you don't have like a central character to stick with and like build upon. And I think that may be a part of it. And I think Gina, you said something about this, but like he said it was like kind of boring, and I said it could have been, it needed Danzig as like as the host, as the horror host, and I think
like a Vincent Price type character.
Yes, and it would have worked so much better if he had been a central figure somehow. Like he had introduced the stories, and then also had like a weird cameo in them where he met the main character, like he bumped into them or something, or had like a weird Hitchcock-esque cameo in each segment, just so it's like someone to connect with. Because we have the woman who introduces the stories, but she's boring and doesn't really have any sort of reason to be there. And I think it's just that there's not this central thing to connect to.
Yeah, there's nothing like, now admittedly I'm not, my knowledge of the music of the Misfits and Glenn Danzig is pretty narrow. It's more that I know that he exists, and I know that the the whole skull logo and stuff like that. But I feel like this movie tells me nothing. This doesn't feel like a movie, that a Glenn Danzig movie.
Yeah.
This seems like very tiresome. Here's some naked ladies. Here's a vampire, and it's just all stuff that he thinks he's going to shock the normies with, and it's just so played out. Yeah, okay. The eyeballs and the breasts. That's weird, but you know what? That's been done before. That was done in the movie Gothic like 30 years ago. And in that movie, it's genuinely weird. It's genuinely jarring.
And it probably plays into the story in some way.
Well, because the whole movie feels like a nightmare. It's basically about the creation of Frankenstein and the weekend that Mary Shelley spent where she came up with this idea. And it's just a very weird, very trippy movie. So it works there. And it's shocking. And, hey, Glenn, you didn't think of this. You saw this movie. That image was burned into your brain. And you try to spin it into some crazy, here's something that the audience won't be able to take. It's like, no, people have seen this before, Glenn. It's a 30-year-old movie.
I never saw that movie before.
Exactly.
Mother!
Yeah, exactly.
I never saw it before, and I refuse to believe that I could be accused of stealing John Borman's shtick. That's not really true. I'd like to invite you into my bedroom. Don't worry, that bed, my bed frame, it broke because of all the sex I've been having. So now I just put it on the floor. There's a lot of debris on the carpets. Please wear shoes. Normally everyone would have shoes off. But there's a lot of drywall that's fallen. Please bring me over my open box of blueberry.
The spider guy could have been kind of cool, but like he reminded me too much of Goro.
Yeah,
but that's probably
he's got
the only,
a nice mustache.
That's probably
neat.
the only thing, the only image in the movie that is kind of seems unique. But we've seen movies where characters cut other people's faces off.
Yes.
We've and God fucking knows we've seen vampires, and the idea that he thinks this is something crazy and wild and out there, and I'm going to show you something you've never seen before. It's like, come on, Glenn, come on, vampires, Glenn. Just because you don't use the word doesn't mean that's not what they are.
I think he's directing a vampire movie next.
Of course he is. Of course he is.
I think that's he's in post-production right now on Death Rider in the House of Vampires.
Oh my God. Well, stay tuned for next year, folks.
Yeah. Post-production. Where's the pre and current production?
Speaking of Gothic, which had Julian Sands is in his next movie.
Oh God.
Oh my God.
So is Devon Sawa.
Oh my God.
Well, that's perfect.
And Glenn Danzig
just
is in the
moving
movie.
from failed rock star to failed rock star project.
Okay, so this is going to be a weird one because he's got not only Devon Sawa, Julian Sands, he's in it. Glenn Danzig's in it as a character. Danny Trejo's in it. Eli Roth is in it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so it feels like who knows if that's going to be anything.
Yeah, you're gonna have to just pencil a space in your calendar to come back and talk about that. We're gonna have to have Megan Sunday on too because Julian Sands is in it. So
yes, at least someone will care about anything that happens on screen if we have Megan on for that. Any final thoughts on this movie? The one thing that I just wanted to say is in change of face. When the cop finally catches up to the Phantom of the strip club, she holds a knife to his face. She's behind him. And then all of a sudden he shoots 3 times and it fades slowly to black, like every scene. And then it unfades back up and there's this trail of blood, like she's been shot, but she was behind him. Does Glenn Danzig understand how bullets work?
Patrick, Glenn Danzig doesn't know where the heart is.
He's like bending bullets like he's in fucking Wanted. And then the denouement of that entire sequence is her coming, and this movie challenges you with a very close-up look at a strip club DJ's mouth.
Oh.
I mean, that is the one transgressive element in this movie.
I was going to say, that's the most shocking image in the movie.
Yeah, that did go, oh, that's not something I want to see. That's unholy. And he's like, hey, mystery girl. And she comes out.
No. She has changed her name.
Oh, that's true.
She is now Mysteria.
Oh, yeah. They'll never catch her.
They'll never find me.
Hasn't changed her costume or anything. She still has the skull pasties, but now she's
seems
Mysteria.
to be the same strip club.
It is the same strip club.
same DJ. Nothing has changed. She's simply changed her stage name and has 3 bullet holes, visible bullet holes.
It's like Joe Exotic's bullet hole tattoos.
Anything else that occurs to you about this?
I mean, I don't. It's just so boring and dull. Like it's, yeah. I couldn't possibly recommend it unless you have a bunch of friends who are willing to go along with it, because I just don't think it's exciting enough for. I don't think it's exciting enough for the normie, non-bad movie fans to sit through. So I feel like you got to be with a group of people who like bad movies, who like talking back to the screen and like really enjoy them for what they are, and they're not going to complain that it sucks and is boring and will find the fun in it. If you can get a group of people like that, yeah, watch Verotika. It's dumb, but you might have some fun.
At one point, Drunkula says to her very supportive friend, let me suckle her feet juice. And I think she meant to say sweet juice, but it definitely comes out with an F.
Well, we don't know. That could be some weird shit he's into. I don't know. But speaking of weird shit, I mean, my problem with the movie, well, I mean, to suggest that I have a problem with the movie is that, you know, I've been around long enough, and I've seen enough movies in which the more the filmmakers go out of their way to talk about how shocking this movie is going to be and how it's pushing the limit of what audiences can take, it's going to be so fucking boring. And it's just like, you know, and again, to not to continuously bring up like a movie like Hereditary, it's like, for as little that actually happens in that movie until like the last 20 minutes or so, it is so uneasy and so uncomfortable to sit through that it's just, it doesn't need stuff like a close-up of somebody, you know, digging their fingers into, you know, obviously gelatin eyeballs, or you know, someone cutting out someone's face and you could see the pen line around where they're gonna, you know, okay, well, here's where you're gonna put the fake blood. And it's just, it's, I don't know. It's just, anytime you sell your movie as being something that the average film goer isn't going to be able to take, that's a huge, you know, it's that corny ass, you know, over the top P.T. Barnum showmanship thing. And it's just like, yeah, I'm not interested. Don't want to see it.
No, it's a scam. It's,
yeah, because it's going to be boring. It's going to have, you know, no discernible plot to speak of. It's just going to be a lot of, you know, meant to be shocking imagery.
Yes. Oh God, this is it's not a fun movie. Josh, where can people hear more from you?
Oh, yes, you can find me at Predictocast. We pick a movie we know nothing about, watch the first 10 minutes, and then try to predict the rest of the movie. We have a pretty good time. I like to think. It's very silly right now. I don't know when this will drop, but we're in the midst of Eric Roberts month on the podcast. So come on over, check us out. You can find us wherever you get podcasts or at predictocast.com.
I feel like this movie could have you know, benefited with some Eric Roberts.
Oh my God, he would have been great.
Yeah. He would
make him the cop. Yes.
Yeah, he would have been great. Or at least the cop that says, brief me. And then he's like, well, there's a person out there cutting off faces. He's like, oh, gross. I asked you to brief me, not like tell me what the fuck's happening. Those are two things. God. I think we make this movie sound more fun than it actually is.
Well, it's fun to talk about it.
Yeah, it's fun to talk about. And I agree that in the right setting, it could be a good group watch, because
just don't bother watching that third one. There's no.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah. If you know the story of Countess Bathory, you know the fucking story, and it's just that. I mean, he can change the character's name, but it's the whole thing with the, you know, kidnapping, you know, virgin villagers and bathing in their blood. It's just that you saw it before. You saw it in Hostel 2. He ripped off Hostel 2.
Yes. And that just about does it. Thank you ever so much, everyone who supports us on Patreon.
There you go.
What a wonderful present you've received. This would go down in the what the fuck category that we often dip into here. This is not a we love this movie so much we just got to talk about it one. Maybe 2 months from now we'll do that. Next month is a viewer's choice, from the $10 level. So one of you will be chosen to come up with a movie for us to do there. And in the coming weeks, we'll be finishing up Freddy versus Jason. And then it is the premiere of season 3 with really cool stuff. We've already recorded our season opener where we talk about 10 to Midnight. with Eric Siska of We Hate Movies. And then we're going to be talking Dr. Giggles with April Wolf and someone else that I've yet to book. And that's I mean, when I said I'm watching Dr. Giggles on Twitter, you would have thought I was like, hey, Glenn Danzig invited me over to his new house. Wait till you see these pictures. People were jazzed. So hopefully that translates into people being excited about Dr. Giggles, a movie I did not remember that I had seen.
Yeah, that's gonna be that's gonna be all new to me, because I did see it in the theater, but that is the only time I've seen it.
It's kind of fun, man. It's like it's breezy. It kind of moves. It's professionally made. A girl kind of gives a blowjob to a saxophone at one point. I mean, it's fun.
See, put that in your movie, Danzig.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was 1992. And it was way cooler than anything is in this movie. I'll tell you that right now. And that just about does it. So for myself, for Gina, and for Josh, bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.